Hello my friends, you're listening to Ebird Online and I'm back with another review. And finally, this week it's the big week. We, the lucky viewers, finally discover what led up to the breakup of Natalie and Mike. And I think it's fair to suggest that this week Mike offered himself up to the gods of cancellation, and cancel him we did. Mike, you're finished. So I'm going to go over at the end of the video exactly what I think Mike's wrongdoings were. And then we're all going to have a little bit of speculation as to how and why these guys get back together again. And as we all know by now, Mike's both disingenuous and evasive. And I'm going to be looking over his behaviour in the last 2 weeks to pick over these examples and analyse what makes him this way. So right before we start, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody that's subscribed to my channel. It really does make a difference and I really genuinely appreciate it. And also massive thank you to everybody who contributes to the comments section. I really do enjoy interacting with you guys, so thank you so much for that. And if you haven't done so, please don't forget to press that red subscribe button. And also don't forget to like the video. Right, so without further ado, I give you Natalie and Mike. So we first catch up with this couple at home, and it looks like they're having some sort of celebration. And it turns out it's Uncle Beau's 50th birthday, and Mike has pulled out all the stops. He's got an $8 cake from Costco, he's got a happy birthday banner, and he's also got paper party horns, you know, the ones that roll out. Natalie remarks, in the Ukraine these have a sound. Natalie, the world over, these have a sound, unless you're an absolute peasant, which it would seem Mike is. And so Uncle Beau arrives with one of their neighbours, hand in hand I might add, but looking at the pair of them is probably just to steady each other, and they all drink shots of alcohol from mugs. Mike must have run out of jam jars. And Uncle Beau's smiling and it does seem as if he's enjoying himself. And Mike lets production know that he's really happy that Natalie seems to be getting on with his family and friends, because Mike tells us it's really important. And so the next time we catch up with this couple, they're going on an outing together. Guys, guess what they're doing? They're going fishing. Mike, who is this fun for? Literally, who is this fun for? Let's make a little list, shall we? In order of most to least. So it seems as if it's most fun for Mike. It's second most fun for us, the viewer. It's third most fun for the maggots that are being used as bait. It's fourth most fun for the bloody fish that are about to be murdered, or rehomed, depending on how you look at it. And it's fifth most fun for Natalie. But as is Natalie's new way, she's trying to put a good gloss on it and she's trying to make the best of the day. She tells us, I really want to enjoy myself today, but I don't have back my ring. Yes, that's right, she's still bollocking on about that ring. But the truth be told, I don't blame her at this point because it's getting very, very close to visa expiry day and they need to sort out the wedding very soon because they're now dealing with coronavirus. And so as they're walking along the riverbank, Natalie's still droning on, I want back my ring. But the truth be told, she's putting her best foot forward and she's throwing herself into all the tasks that Mike has to offer. And so Mike both fails to explain and fails to demonstrate to her how to cast her fishing rod, how to cast it further, how to bait the hook, how to analyse the movement of the float. He taught her nothing. Absolutely nada. It's almost as if he couldn't be bothered. So as they're standing fishing, Natalie says to Mike, I don't want to rush you, but with coronavirus now, how we get married, the courts will be closed. And Mike said, it's out of our hands, there's nothing we can do. I know you're thinking about it, but you know. And Mike said, we need to keep making progress, otherwise there's no wedding, you know. And so let's unpick this for a moment. Mike said, it's out of our hands. No, it isn't. You can get a wedding officiant that comes to your home. I also noticed, and this was in America, I don't know if we did it here, but definitely it was in America, there were weddings online during coronavirus. Mike is showing a distinct lack of will to get married. But as per usual, Pam, passive-aggressive Mike, he's decided it's out of our hands. It's not out of your hands, it's in your hands. If you wanted to, you could go and get married tomorrow. My friend Kat met and married someone in New York in 7 days. What was that? No, of course it didn't last, but that's not the point. They still got married. And as I spoke about on previous videos, Mike's doing what he can to frustrate this process. And so next time we're back with Natalie and Mike, we see just Natalie and she's going wedding dress shopping. And she explains to us that at the moment she has no ring, no wedding dress and maybe no groom. And given that she's got only 3 weeks till she needs to leave the country, things are getting hella tight. And guys, I really did feel sorry for Natalie when she was trying on her wedding dresses because she had to go there on her own. She doesn't have any friends around. And besides the shop assistant, she had kind of no support. She did phone her mum in the store so her mum could look on FaceTime, but it's really not the same as actually looking at something real time. And she let the shop assistant know that she wanted a mermaid style dress. And she asked, is the wedding inside or outside? And Natalie said, I don't know. Natalie, I know, it's outside. Mike's a cheapskate. He's not about to hire a wedding venue. And Natalie said, my timescale's very tight. Natalie, so's your fiancé. And the shop assistant, bless her, did everything she could to try and calm Natalie down. She could tell she's quite highly strung. And she said, well, this is just a wedding, just to kind of get the paperwork out of the way. And then what you'll be able to do afterwards is have a big full wedding at a later date. And that brought Natalie out in a big smile. And you could see she's really happy with that thought. So she tried on all 3 dresses. She picked the 3rd one. Personally, I thought the first one was absolutely beautiful. It was a mermaid dress, looked so good. But after trying on the wedding dresses, unfortunately, Natalie left empty-handed, mainly because Mike's a monster. And so the next time we see this couple, we're back at Mike's house and Mike's busy telling production he's under a lot of pressure at the moment. Mike, try drinking less. And Mike further tells production there's really no way to sort out all the issues that they have before time runs out. And Mike tells Natalie, work's crazy, life's crazy, the world's turned upside down. And he really has got a somber look on his face. And he's not exactly full of the joys of spring. And then he said, Nellie, I really don't know what the best time to do this is, so... And then he hands her the ring. But he just sort of thrust it towards her in a really lackluster manner. And of course, Natalie's been waiting for this day for the last, 70 days. So she's very happy and she breaks into a big broad grin. And so Natalie looked at him coyly and said, are you going to ask me? So Mike just kind of flicked his hand out and said, well, do you want to be my fiancé? And Natalie's still smiling. And she said, are we going to start from scratch? And Mike went, what? And she said, you're not going to remind me of Kiev anymore? Can we start afresh? And Mike jumped up and he went, oh my God, you have to ruin everything. Why can't you just let it be a happy moment? And Natalie said, it's important, I know you'll forgive me. And Mike said to production, she's always nitpicking. She can't just let it be a happy moment. Mike, you don't just let a proposal be a happy moment. You have to make it be a happy moment. Do you think you can just sit there inert on the floor and wordlessly thrust a ring at somebody and that's going to be okay? Of course it bloody isn't. And guys, I know I've had a lot to say about Natalie over the years, but now I've come to the conclusion that Mike is without doubt searching for trouble. He's looking for trouble. He doesn't want to get married, but he wants us all to be able to blame it on Natalie. And I remember when I was younger, my mum used to say to me, apologise to your brother. And I'd say, soz. That's literally how he asked her to marry him. It was the equivalent of an Ebird soz to a cowering little brother in the corner. And by the way, happy birthday, Dan. He's 40 today. And then he barked at her, do you want to be my fiancé or not? And she said, yes, I do. But do you forgive me for giving you back the ring in Kiev? And he said, do I forgive you? No. So Mike, if you don't forgive her, I don't really see how you can move on. Obviously, Natalie was really badly behaved that day, but she has now apologised on several occasions. She's shown a lot of contrition. And as human beings, we have to have some point where we say, okay, I can now put this down. She hasn't killed somebody. She hasn't been unfaithful. You had an argument and she dashed the ring at you. As badly behaved as that was, she has now apologised and you need to accept it. If you can't, to me, then you're not moving on. And guys, I'm going to talk about this a bit more at the end of the video because this whole scene was extremely pertinent to what happened in the breakdown of their relationship this week. And so Mike said once again, do you want to be my fiancé? Natalie said yes. And he said, put your hand out then. And he put the ring onto her finger. Then Natalie does what she does best. She goes into La La Land. And she spoke to producers. And she said, it feels like I got the key from Michael's heart back again. And he trusts me, which is good. That's not what I got from it, Natalie. Very unfortunately, I got a really reluctant Mike. Giving you a ring because you've been going on and on about it. He's still not sure at all that he wants to marry you. And he seems to be extremely irritated by your very presence on planet Earth. That's what I got from this whole thing. So the next time we see this crappy couple, Mike tells us they've decided on a date. And they're getting married in a couple of days. And Mike said because of coronavirus, they've decided to get married here at the ranch. The ranch? What's the ranch? Now I've got to admit, I don't 100% know what a ranch is, but I thought it was something to do with like horses and bulls and cowboys and ropes maybe. I don't think it's paper plates, soundless party horns and dirty carpets. I don't know, that's not what I think when I think ranch. But you guys tell me, does Mike live on a ranch? Maybe he does. Anyway, there's a pre-wedding celebration with Uncle Beau and his girlfriend. And they all decide to scare the bejesus out of the fish with some firework. Maybe you can serve all the dead fish at your wedding breakfast. Who knows, Natalie? And then Natalie decides to ring her mum and she's blubbing on the phone saying, I'm so happy. And she's so happy that she's getting married. Her mother seems unbothered by it all, but I suppose it is the third time round. And I suppose it's true to say the common denominator in Natalie's failed marriages is Natalie. And Mike explains that the lockdown means that the wedding's going to have to go ahead without friends, without family, without loved ones. You mean your friends, your family and your loved ones, Mike, because you've dragged your heels so much, Natalie hasn't had the opportunity to get anybody over. But nevertheless, everybody's still in good spirits, and it's the day before the wedding and 4 days before Natalie's visa ends. And Natalie starts phoning her friends back in Ukraine, and she's so happy and so excited for her big day. And her and Mike have a final meal as single people, and it looks like they're eating chicken Kiev on the barbecue. But Mike does tell production there are fears and worries in the back of his head. And as they sit at the dining table, Natalie said to Mike, are we getting married tomorrow? Are we going to do it? And Mike said, oh yeah, we're going to do it. And Natalie said, are we going to do it? And Mike said, yeah, we're going to do it. And then suddenly I become aware that Mike's not talking about getting married. Mike's just talking about having sex with Natalie. Mike, you're not a child. Mike behaves like a 17-year-old boy sometimes. And Natalie said to Mike, even though the wedding's really simple, simplicity is fine, I just want to be happy and I just want to be married to you, Mike. And it was a really lovely sentiment. And then Mike said, yeah, neither one of us is having a bachelor or a bachelorette party. And Natalie said, I know. And Mike said, have you ever been to a strip club? And Natalie said, I haven't, but I think I'd like to go just once just to have a look. And Mike decided to get up and give Natalie a lap dance. He was inept to say the least, and I'm quite convinced we have a contender for a new method of birth control. And Natalie joked, I didn't realise you were so talented. And Mike was dancing around saying, yeah baby, make it rain. Mike, you couldn't even make it bloody drizzle. And the following day is Natalie and Mike's wedding day. But what's this? We see Natalie, phone in hand, crying her eyes out sitting on the sofa. And she calls the wedding officiant, Teresa, and she tells her, we're not getting married. And she explained that Mike has cancelled the wedding. What? That's right. The day before the wedding, the evening before, Mike cancelled the wedding. After they had sex last night, Mike has changed his mind about getting married. And Natalie starts packing. And interestingly enough, Mike is nowhere to be seen. And Natalie is extremely upset because she's in really the worst predicament. The Ukrainian borders have just closed. And so Natalie has to leave America. She can still fly to Europe, but then she has to get somehow across land into Ukraine. And she's not quite sure how she's going to do it and where she's going to fly to and where she's going to stay in the meantime. So Mike really has put her in a terrible, terrible predicament at the last minute. And then Mike's friend comes in tomorrow and she's going to drive Natalie to the airport. And she says that Mike's at the bank sorting out money for Natalie's return ticket. And the producer asks her, are you going to ring your mum? And she said, and tell her what? Literally, and tell her what? I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm flying to. I'm in the middle of coronavirus, but I'm coming home. And tell her what? And I really felt her frustration and pain. Do you know what? You're documenting my downfall at this point. Now, I know a lot of people have said, oh, it was all put on for the cameras because these guys ended up together. So all the arguing is fake and all the crying is fake. Guys, how many couples do you know that argue like cat and dog and you think they're on the verge of splitting up and the next thing you know, we're getting married? What, you two? But you hate each other. And they go and do it. So just because someone isn't a match and isn't a fit means literally nothing. Just ask Rebecca. She's done it 3 times and she's about to make it number 4. And so that's where we leave things for this week. Well, the first thing I want to say about Mike is, what a despicable piece of work you are. And guys, there are some terrible, terrible people in the world, and on that we can all agree. However, who these people are and what they've done to make them so terrible has been the subject of much debate. But what we do know is every single person in the whole wide world agrees that Mike is one such person. He's a genuine bona fide see you next Tuesday. And guys, it's my belief that Mike did this as a giant FU to Natalie. The whole thing to me seems very, very suspicious. It goes from Mike didn't want to get a suit, Natalie didn't have a dress, hardly any family or friends were going to be invited to this wedding, not even Mike's mum. It was all done at a rush and at the last minute and at the ranch. I don't think Mike had any real intention of actually marrying Natalie. I really don't. I think he was uber pissed off at the way she treated him before. He was over and out. And I think he used this show and used Natalie as a way to make money from TLC. And honestly, I'll believe that until my dying day. Well, maybe not my dying day, but you know, as long as I remember. And we saw week after week, Mike really enjoyed the power of that ring. When Natalie was looking for the ring and she was joking about it, Mike was like, where do you think it is? And we know he hid it on top of the wardrobe. And at all times, Mike just really enjoyed saying to Natalie, no, you can't have the ring, you can't have it. When Natalie wanted to go and seek a counsellor to try and sort out their troubles, Mike said, what for? I don't want to go. So he didn't want to sort the troubles out. Yet he was saying, we don't have enough time now to sort out the problems before our wedding. Mike, there never was going to be a wedding. You're a liar. And guys, if I ever met Mike when he was on one of his hikes, lumbering up that hill, the temptation to push him down would be literally overwhelming. And we had to see poor Natalie crying and really upset, and she was having a panic attack, and Mike, typical narcissist, sought to cut her off from family and friends. He really is despicable. He pulls the rug from under her, knowing she hasn't got any familial support or any friend support, nothing. She's all on her own, dealing with this horror. Imagine you're just living in the UK, and you're about to get married, and your partner calls it off the day before. That would be devastating. Times that by 10, guys, because you're in a foreign country and you haven't got any friends or any family or anyone to lean on at your hour of need. And in fact, she's probably got a 2-day round trip to get back home. And way back at the start of the season, when I heard Natalie say, Mike is a monster, I thought, oh, what's she done now? She's driven him to distraction. But I honestly can say, in the last few weeks, Natalie's been as nice as pie to Mike. And she's tried her level best to get on with his friends, his family, Uncle Bo, his mum, and also to talk out any problems that they have. Mike, as far as I'm concerned, this whole thing is on you. So guys, let me know what you think. Do you think Mike's a despicable character? And if somebody had done that to you, is there any way that you would ever forgive them and get back together with them? I don't think that I would. And let's not forget, over the past couple of weeks, Mike's been sleeping with Natalie. So it's more or less like he's having sex with her, knowing, I'm putting you out with the rubbish come wedding day. So yes, let me know what you think. But there's another question that I want you to answer. How do you think these guys get back together and get in the position where they get married? I've got a feeling that for whatever reason, Natalie got pregnant and that is why she managed to get back together with Mike. I can already kind of see in her confessionals that she's getting slightly bigger. And you guys know that could just be an American diet, or it could be a lockdown diet. But Natalie's extremely active. I think it's likely she's already pregnant. And that's why I think these guys end up together. So guys, let me know why you think they got back together, and I'll be with you very soon for another video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like and all that good stuff. Thank you guys so much for listening, and thank you for all your support. And I bid you a very good day.